everybody, welcome to another edition of Box Seats. Your host, Frank Holder, sitting up in here. This is the show where we talk about sports with comedians. And you know what? I'm doing a show today myself. I don't want to bring none of them clowns in. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I don't want to hear it today. I just, you know how you don't want to hear it? I don't want to hear it today. I don't want to hear it. But I'm going to bring them in. And first one who says something trashy, I'm cutting them out. Just letting you know now. If y'all fans of Talent, Fig, or Mike Sean, and any of them dudes say anything trashy, they're going to get X'd right out of the show. So, Talent,
yo. So, the Mets is on right now.
The Mets is on?
Nobody cares. What everybody cares about is that fluorescent ass whooping last night. Dude, you know I'm on vacation, like, so I'm not even supposed to be on the show today, but I had to make time to come and help you out today. How you holding up, bro? My condolences.
I'm about to delete your ass.
All right, I'm good. I'll wait for the fellas. Like it's fake.
He's another one about to get deleted. Fig is in the building. What's up, Fig?
Listen, man. All morning, I was watching the Muppets, and I was listening to Kermit Frog, and he just kept saying, "It ain't easy being green."
He's borderline too. Mike Sean, what's up, man?
Yo, this is the one time I'm really happy I'm a Knicks fan. I'm really happy that we had no chance of being in the championship. I'm happy that we suck. I feel bad for you, Frank. I get it. I haven't felt that pain in a long time. But the fact that Talent came off a vacation just to show his face, just so he can lay into you. It's so despicable.
Yeah, I had to, yo. And you know why? Because I called it. Did I say 6?
Yeah,
we both did, G.
Y'all called
Here we go. Amir Sealy in the building. What's up, Amir?
What's going on? Happy Father's Day to everybody. What's going on, gentlemen?
I'm good to see you. Amir, I'll say this, bro. In January, I was an okay Celtics fan. I was fine. Amir, you know why? Because nobody was talking about the Celtics making the finals. They had the first historic run. You know what I mean? They made the most historic run ever in the NBA history. In January, I was calling for Ime Udoka's head. I was calling for a trade. I was very upset. I ain't gonna lie, I was very upset. And then now it's June 17th, and how can I be disappointed that my team, unlike everybody else, my team is in the finals? I can't be mad at that, right? I shouldn't be. I'm mad, but I shouldn't be. But
you shouldn't be. You shouldn't be mad. You should look at this as a stepping stone to something bigger and better for that team.
Yeah.
You should.
Yeah.
Or this could be the last time they ever see the finals. But I don't know what it is. I don't know. It could be either one.
I would bet with the trade exception money they have, the money they have to work with, which is $33 million, I would bet that we're going to see them again because we all know they're one player away. But before we jump into the NBA Finals, while we wait for people to come in and say hi, and I want to thank all the the people out there who are definitely watching the show, box seats and everything else, and our continuous fans, especially the ones who were texting me, inboxing me, and all that stuff. You know what I mean? I appreciate y'all, but you know what? I ain't Frank, nothing. I ain't gained nothing.
Hey, so. Frank, I bet you regret ever keeping the same order of asking the questions about, huh? You know who got to go first.
I'm changing the order today, bro. All right, so before we jump into it, man, I'm going to ask Talent the first question today because he didn't know I changed the order yesterday. Yeah, he didn't know. I guess he bounced out.
No, he froze up a little bit. His signal was messing up.
While we wait and everything else, Mike Sean, since you spoke up first, while we wait for everybody to come in and everything else, I'm going to throw it out to you first, man. I don't know if people heard this story and everything else, but Vince McMahon is stepping down. And I'm going to ask you, Mike, is WWE a real sport? Because he's stepping down as CEO and chairman of World Wrestling Entertainment because there's been an investigation that's going on that he agreed to pay $3 million to a woman he had an affair with. Now, the board of directors of WWE uncovered the secret $3 million settlement he paid out because he was trying to hide an affair. Now, first, I want to ask you, Mike, and then I'm going to ask you, Fig, and I'm going to ask you, Amir. Is WWE even a real sport? And is it that serious? Like, I was like, I didn't even know it was that serious. That's why I wish Business Bully was here. But
I think physically it is definitely a real sport. Any sport that people have actually died during doing the sport in a pay-per-view is a real sport. The injuries are real. Now, is it scripted? Yep, it sure is. But the physical ability that they have and what they put their bodies through is definitely a real sport. They are guys not the same. If you've ever seen a documentary about Tony Atlas, that man has suffered a lot through the injuries and what wrestling did to him. But I found that very weird that they would make him step down simply because of that. That just sounds weird. Like Vince McMahon, okay, paid out $3 million. What's the big deal?
Right. Fig, I'm gonna throw it to you, man, and maybe you could explain to me this WWE situation because Vince McMahon, he's been a staple of this thing for a very long time. The business bully is in here. Business bully, what's going on, bro? How you doing? We're gonna come to you.
Man, feeling good. Go to Fig. I'm here.
Fig, talk to me, man. Explain to me what the seriousness of this allegation before we talk about the NBA Finals, man. What's your thoughts about this, man?
The only thing I can think of is if he used corporate money for the settlement payment, but if he used his own cash, I don't get it. I don't understand. If it was his money and he paid a woman to keep quiet over an affair, that's par for the course. I mean, look, how many guys in history that have had a lot of money did stuff like that, man? You know, right. It's called hush money. I mean, is it a federal crime or something? Like, did he do something that was, that was illegal? I mean, unless he used the funds that was made in the WWF and he used funds that was supposed to be allocated for something else or somebody else supposed to get a share or embezzlement or something like that. I don't understand. It doesn't make sense to me.
Well, let's have the business bully explain. Why we wait for the guys to come in and everything else, and why we act this before we jump into the NBA Finals. Business bully, you got the floor, man. Explain to us what the situation is with the WWE. Explain to us how serious this is, and help us who are not wrestling fans understand this.
Okay, so to put this way, Vince McMahon is a third-generation wrestling promoter. This particular Vince McMahon was the one that globalized professional wrestling. The problem is not whether or not it's his money. The problem was the chick he was smushing was an employee. So the chairman of the board, that's it. Like, end of discussion. She's an underling. So she can automatically, say that she felt intimidated, whatever the case may be. He's Vince McMahon. That's it. And at the end of the day, like, they have been looking, and I want to tell you straight up and down, the board has been looking for a reason to get him out so they can sell it to the Saudis or the NBC. So mark my words, within 18 months, that company is going to somebody, and it will not be a McMahon. His daughter left the company, son left the company, son-in-law left the company, and this dude has been slimy for a long time when it comes to chicks. So this is just the first one.
The irony of this would be a great storyline that the WWE would normally make up, and now it's actually happening in real life.
Yeah,
wow. I think you're right about that. Amir, you're up, bro. We getting ready to start. We're gonna do a round robin table. We're gonna start talking about the NBA Finals, bro. You up first, man. Tell me what your thoughts were first on the entire series. I'm gonna go through everybody. Tell me the entire thought process from the entire series. What's your takeaway from the series? Then I'm gonna hit everybody with, we're gonna do these rapid fire questions, bro. What's your take?
I thought the entire series was, I thought it was a bit more compelling than we thought it would be. First of all, to have Boston take that first game in Golden State kind of, set we thought it, at least set the table for what was to come. But I thought that was a game that they could and should have stolen anyway, because, going into the finals, Golden State obviously was in a bit of a state of, we're the champions. And, the young kids, young guns, at least, trying to make a statement. And I thought that they, set the tone early with that. I thought the Golden State Warriors, being the champions that they are, they made the adjustments that they needed to make. And, for all intents purposes, they came back and did what they were supposed to do as champions. If you've been there before, you've been, under the bright lights and you've, been on that stage, you know what to expect. It appears now that, Tatum and Brown and the, rest of the Boston Celtics, this is their first time, being at the big dance. And sometimes when you, get to be at the big dance, you only have one or two things. You have somebody who gets on that dance floor and they know how to dance and they know how to lead, or you stand on the side and you talk about everybody as you watch everybody else enjoy the dance. But I thought that the series, would have gone differently. I thought Boston had a better chance than, what they showed. But again, like I said, the bright lights proved to possibly be a bit too much for them. And I'm hoping that they'll be back at some point because I think Brown and Tatum are a heck of a 1-2 punch. And I think the other pieces that they have around them, the one person that I do feel bad for is Hartford because I just feel it's not that, it's over for him. But, when you're up there in age, sometimes these opportunities don't come, as often as you might like. But I thought it was an absolutely phenomenal series. Kudos to the Golden State Warriors for doing what they had initially set out to do, which was to win another chip. So salute to that whole team.
Rodney Perry has joined the show. I'm not sure if his signal's good enough for him to stay in the show. No, he fell out. All right, so Fig, talk to me, man. What was your overall take?
It's pretty much what I expected, man. To be honest, even though I picked the Warriors to win it all, I was a little nervous about the way the Celtics were playing because they beat so many other teams on the way to the finals. It looked like they were really a tough and formidable foe. But the Golden State Warriors, one thing that I knew about them is that they had stellar defense. And most people focus on Golden State Warrior offense because it's so prolific. And they ignore the fact that the Golden State Warriors play exceptional defense. As a matter of fact, they were number one in the NBA before Draymond Green got injured. And then when he left, they fell. But the finals was number one and number two in defense. Celtics number one and Golden State Warriors number two. People putting a lot of pressure on Tatum, but you went up against a juggernaut, not only in offense, but in defense. The Celtics broke 100 points 2 times in the 6 games, which points that the Golden State Warriors not only were shooting the ball and offensively scoring, but they were playing some serious defense.
Mike, Sean, your take.
I think the take should, instead of focusing on what the Celtics didn't do, should be focused, like what Fig said, on what Golden State did do. And I think they deserve the credit that they're getting. They're not even getting the credit that they deserve. The story is all about Jason Tatum having a miserable series, which is so unfair. But Golden State were the veterans. They're 3 guys who have probably played as many NBA Finals games as Jason Tatum has played playoff games. And this is something that they're familiar with. And you could see their experience. You could see they knew what they were going to do and what they had to do in that game in Boston. They didn't want to play with Game 7. They didn't want to play that game with Game. They've had that experience before with LeBron, with having home court advantage in Game 7. And they're like, we're not doing it. And their defensive strategy, and I think the Celtic coach is a very good coach. But I think he was out-coached by Steve Kerr because even though Andrew Wiggins did a wonderful job against Tatum, the interior defense got better. And they weren't allowing Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum just to blow by and give no help. They helped. After you beat the first man, now you had to beat the second and third man. And that was an adjustment that Kerr made. Look, I don't like Golden State, but they're a dynasty. You win 4 chips, you go to the final 6 times, you're a dynasty. And we need to give them more credit instead of focusing on what Jason Tatum didn't do.
Finally, Dave, what's your take?
First things first, man. Like, I was surprised at how well Steph Curry beat those refs. That was one. But I'm not. You know what I'm saying? Like, for me, it's a situation where they realize, okay, we can do this. We don't have to go all the way to Game 7. We can make it happen right now. On top of that, to be honest, if you go back 10 years, out of all of the teams in California, were you saying, well, Golden State's going to kill it? No. Golden State is the best team, point blank and period. And like Michael Sean, I can't stand them, but you have to respect the fact that they continue to win. Boston did what they were supposed to do, but they couldn't take it all the way. Like, sometimes you got to realize when somebody's just better. You know what I'm saying, Frank? Like, it's one of those things, bro. Like, you understand this. You're light skinned. You know, like, you have to, you get to a point in your life where you just say, you know what? yeah. We did the best we could do. What did Jeffrey Osborne say? I gave my best, but I guess my best wasn't good enough. Steph Curry's a monster.
Back where we were before.
Sing it, Figgy.
Okay, so I guess we're gonna do that. We're gonna do this again today. We're gonna do this. It's gonna be this kind of day.
You know what? That is completely unfair. I forgot you're in Boston. That's your home. That's your team. My deepest condolences for that ass whipping. Good try, though.
There we go. Well, Mike was going to be up next, but Mike didn't know we were going to do round robin, so Mike is not there. I can't. Let me see. Is Mike there? Mike there? Mike? Anybody see Mike Sean? Mike Sean?
I'm in the bathroom smoking a Black and Mild.
Mike Sean? Anybody?
He'll be back.
There we go. Mike Sean is in the building. Mike, I told you I'm mixing and matching today, bro. I'm not going to stay in the order. So you thought I was going in order. Now okay. You up, Mike. Mike, Golden State, man. They won the NBA championship. Question. Now we're doing rapid fire questions right now. What changes do they have to make on their roster for them to repeat, in your opinion? Because I will say this: the Boston Celtics were in the exact same position in '88, '89. They did not let go of Robert Parrish, Kevin McHale, and Larry Bird, and it cost them. You know, they didn't make the change when they should. Do you think Golden State's in the same boat, or do you disagree? And what change do they have to make?
No, I think that's a totally different situation. Robert Parrish and those guys were super older than what this team is. And when you got Looney and you got Poole and Kuminga on the bench, and you got a general manager who's excellent, even when he's getting late draft picks, he's excellent at drafting. I think they'll stand pat, and they might make Andre Iguodala an assistant coach and probably bring somebody in to take his spot, or maybe he'll just renegotiate his contract where he makes the minimum and he's just there as a coach. Because what he did yesterday, if you didn't see how he was coaching yesterday and how much respect them young players have for him, that he's able to step to them and really give them the business while they're on the bench, that is critical on a team like that. And that's something Steve Kerr is trying to build the San Antonio franchise. He's already done it. He's already built that same environment. He's just the coach instead of Popovich.
Right. I could agree with that, except I think they would make some roster changes. Fig, do you think there'd be some shocking roster changes to Golden State that we ain't expecting to see?
I really don't think so, because they really have a nice core, like Mike said, a nice core of young players. Here's the thing. Golden State didn't even go into this series, into the playoffs or into this season fully packed. Their center was out all year. Weissman, which is their center. I expected him to be back this year. I wasn't sure. I didn't know the extent of his injury. I thought he was going to play this year. I didn't know that. So the fact that Weissman is coming back, you got Kuminga, you got Poole, you got this kid. Oh God, what's the other kid?
Looney.
You got Looney, and there's another kid that plays. They have a nice core of young players. Gary Payton III, like all of these dudes, they bought into the culture and they understand the system. They were learning they did on-the-job training 2 years while Steph and Clay was out. They got their experience with the finals this year. Going into next year, I expect these dudes to make a nice little leap. They have size, they have youth, and they have ability. Like these guys can really shoot too. They can play offense and they understand the defensive schemes, which is scary because, you know, you got a veteran presence and a youth presence, which means these guys could probably get here again next year.
Dave, are you of the thought process that Golden State Warriors can repeat? Because right now the Vegas book has them repeating. Is that what your thought process is?
Yeah, I think there's no way we, like, at this point, it's like when I was a kid watching the Lakers, it was just who was going to face the Lakers. And then when I was a teenager, it was like, who's going to face the Bulls? At this point, it's like, who is going to face the Golden State Warriors? I don't think it's God, I can't believe I'm saying it again. I agree with Fig. This is a situation where, like, as an RFA, Frank, do you know what an RFA is, Frank?
RFA?
Yeah, recovering fat ass. No, as a recovering fat ass, the one thing I used to hate is when my grandmama would make Jell-O, and then I have to wait for the Jell-O to set. That's what it is when you have young players. You have to let the Jell-O set. Sitting up there just digging your spoon in there, it's just gonna be like Kool-Aid, bro. Like that does not work. You gotta let it gel, homie. There's always room for Jello. That's all. Give it time. Where's Rodney Perry?
He's coming.
Let the Jello set.
He's coming. Let the Jello set. Amir,
Let it set.
let me throw this out there to you, bro. Do you think that the Golden State roster is going to come back the way it is, as is, or are they going to make a drastic change?
The only way that the Golden State roster doesn't come back as is if somebody's ego gets in the way and somebody goes, I was an integral part of whatever, and I want more money. And if y'all don't give me more money, I'm going to take my talents elsewhere or whatever. That's the only way I think that gets blown up. But I don't judging at least from the way that they played this year.
Good point.
That doesn't appear to be, those guys, because Wiggins, even, with the way he played the game, he's already gone on record saying, like, I'm cool with, my process in this whole thing. Obviously, if, one of the major cogs gets injured again, it remains to be seen if those guys can hold and toe the line for an entire season and then take that into the playoffs. That becomes a different conversation as well. But I think the only thing that could jack them up right now would be egos. And I don't see that being a part of their makeup right now.
Mike Sean, what can people say about Steph Curry now that he won the Finals MVP? Could they say now that, you know what, at least now you ain't got a USA gold? You know what I mean, what can they say?
They can't say anything, but understand they'll be looking. It's the LeBron syndrome. Now they're looking. Now they want to see something in the armor. Now they'll start saying age is catching up to him. They'll start bringing the Father Time if he slows down next season or if he starts off slow. Because listen, they're going to party this year. They're going to party in the offseason. And guess what? They deserve to party. They won another championship. They're going to party. They might have a slow start and things start bringing up. But they're now trying to pick. The fact that they were trying to give Wiggins the MVP was the beginning. And that's the beginning with Skip Bayless saying Wiggins should have got the MVP. So get ready because they'll start. But Amir made a good point about Wiggins. I think if I'm reading his contract right, the 22-23 season, I think he becomes a free agent at some point.
He does.
Now, Wiggins may want a Supermax contract and may be able to get one from somebody. It's not a crazy thought that a team would see what Wiggins did and say he could be the final piece to a puzzle. Now, that's an interesting thought that Amir brought up.
Fig, is it fair for us to compare Steph Curry to LeBron James right now? That's where we at. Because people are doing that right now. Is that fair?
They're different players. You can compare their records, but you can't compare the players. Steph Curry is at best 6'2". LeBron James is a 6'9" freak of nature athletically and a basketball savant. You can't compare the two. You can compare the records, you can compare the championships, you can compare the wins, but you can't compare the two players. Their physical makeup is so far apart. It's just impossible. Side note, Frank, something I want to say about the culture that I heard yesterday about Gary Payton III. This kid actually got cut and then went to management and said, hey, can I still come back and work out with the guys? And that mentality that he had made them sign this kid. And it's a damn good thing they did because he was an integral part of this championship run.
He was an integral part of their playoff run.
Absolutely.
Their playoff run. Amir, this next question is going to be for you to Dave. I ain't forget about you. I'll come back to you, Dave. Let me ask you this. People are going to still say about LeBron. People are going to still say about Steph. Is there any other player right now that's in that mix of saying, you know what, or anybody clouding, Steph's situation? Because what can people say about Steph right now? And are you sick and tired of the Steph and LeBron comparisons? Because right now, honestly, I don't even know how people can say the two in the same sentence, but they are all morning. What you think?
Well, I think, like anything, first of all, everything is always a generational situation. It's Steph Curry's, time to be on top of the mountain. LeBron, I'm not going to say has had his, but, again, he's been up there for so long and continues to be one of the main people who, regardless of what else is going on, he remains in the conversation because of the way he takes care of himself and the way he appears to be able to, seemingly sometimes will teams that he's a part of into the mix. Steph Curry, on the other hand, just based off of, what we've seen, again, has put himself in that conversation because of this particular playoff run and this championship run. That's not to say that, again, he's not a great player. To Fig's point, the size difference is major in terms of when you start talking about those two as individual players. But I think that there are some similarities and there are a lot of differences between the two. So it's always going to be hard to me to, be able to compare who and what they've meant to, their various situations. But I will say this. I'm just a firm believer that all of these players are great and have contributed to the overall fabric of us loving the game and being fans of the game. So that's the one thing, And the last thing I'll say is Steph Curry did this. He changed this modern day version of the game just based off of his shooting and the way he plays the game.
Yeah,
and that's huge.
He definitely changed the entire way people play the game. Dave, Andrew Wiggins, if he doesn't go back to Golden State, what do you think happens to Golden State next season or the season after? Next season and the season after. What do you think happens?
If Andrew Wiggins doesn't come back to Golden State, if he gets a Supermax contract someplace else, I'm sorry. Wait, I'm getting something from that. Yeah, Golden State will be fine. They will be fine because the system is there. The coaching is there. It's a dynasty. Now, if this conversation was if Aisha Curry goes through her DMs and Steph Curry is sitting on the sideline singing Brian McKnight's One Last Cry like he's Michael B. Jordan trying to keep a stiff upper lip after losing Lori Harvey, then we have something to worry about. In this particular thing, I think the system takes care of itself. Just like, do you know there's been 19 people who can call themselves Temptations? There have been 37 people who can call themselves Menudo. There's been 163 geriatrics in just the past 3 years alone who can call themselves the Los Angeles Lakers. So I'm trying to understand, are we really sitting up here thinking that the whole thing goes to hell in a handbasket if this guy goes someplace else and gets a Supermax contract?
Dave, hilarious. Dave, hilarious. Fig, people are complaining and saying that Andrew Wiggins should at least be co-MVP. I'll tell y'all what I think about this in a second and everything else. People are saying that MVP should at least be in the conversation for Andrew Wiggins and everything else. Does that make any kind of possibility of sense to you in the way that Andrew Wiggins played?
No, because people say silly things. They say, well, Andrew Wiggins was the one responsible for slowing down Jason Tatum, which is BS. No one player can slow down Jason Tatum. That was a team effort. He may have been the first player that was guarding him, but when Tatum got by him, there was a bunch of other players in Tatum's way. So, no, he wasn't responsible for that. And let's go to the scoring. Well, Andrew Wiggins has been known to do very well scoring. But guess what? He was able to do that because there was so much attention being paid to Steph Curry. And that's why those other players was getting free, because you got a double and triple team. And if you're not going to do that, you at least have to know where Steph Curry is every single moment that he is on the floor. Hell, when Steph Curry is on the bench, people are still watching him. The coach is watching him because if he stands up, he got to change his whole roster that's going to be on the floor. So you can't just say, just because Andrew Wiggins played decent defense, you're going to give it to him. I think Andrew Wiggins averaged somewhere between 18 to 20 points a game. Steph Curry averaged over 30 points a game, somewhere between 30 and 32 points a game. If it comes to scoring, you got to give it to Steph Curry because he was the catalyst and he's the engine for this whole team.
Mike Sean, can you make an argument for Andrew Wiggins being MVP?
Dog, I don't know what it is with people, but I get it. He was essential to this championship. The same way, and I said this last night when we talked, the same way Scottie Pippen was essential to Jordan's first championship and all his championships when he had to cover Magic Johnson that first final series. But he's not going to get the MVP for it because we know if Mike's not on that court doing what he does and filling his responsibilities, which is a responsibility that I don't think people understand the level of pressure it is that we have to guarantee. You got to guarantee 25 points, period. 25 points has to be put up by you and 7 assists and maybe 5 rebounds from Steph Curry. He did great, but on great teams, there are always going to be people who also have to do great. That's why they're a great team. But the team engine, like Fig said, is Steph Curry. We're going to have greatness. If that's the case, Dennis Rodman should have been up for MVPs when he played for the Bulls. The way he controlled the boards and the way he led the league in rebounding and tap and hustle points and 50-50 balls. That guy defended the center. He defended shooting guards. Like, there are always going to be other guys who are great. but Steph deserves this. It was bogus that Andre Iguodala got that MVP during the NBA Finals. He held LeBron James to 29 points a game. That's how you get an NBA Finals. You held somebody to almost 30 points a game. He should have got that MVP. Like, this should be his second Finals MVP. I can't believe I'm defending Steph Curry like this because I really don't like Golden State and the whole team. But come on, y'all. Like, come on. It's like Tom Brady. It's like somebody saying Vinatieri should have got the MVP for winning those Super Bowls on the field goals because they wouldn't have won without him.
Yeah, but people were trying to say Vinatieri was going to be Super MVP. I heard that up here. They were trying to do that shit. Amir, could you make a case for Andrew Wiggins being MVP?
You know how I feel about this. So I'm just gonna say what I said last night and reiterate it. It is a team concept. However, predominantly it was Wiggins' job to stay in front of Tatum. It wasn't a whole team situation. And let's be clear, and I said this last night, to a point that was made even earlier today when you guys were talking about this. Whatchamacallit was outcoached. There was a play in the game last night where Al Horford backed Steph Curry down. He was 2 feet away from the basket and he threw the ball all the way out to the 3-point line as opposed to punishing punk ass Steph Curry in the fucking post. So please, let's stop saying that they utilize players properly because they did not. Now, with that having been said, Fig has already gone on record saying we're talking about the 1 and 2 defenses in the league. We all know that there were also a number of other things that attributed to the defense being great or not being great for both teams, including the referees. But I will say this. Wiggins was a very, very integral part of the reason why they won this championship. I did not hear Looney being mentioned as an integral part. I did not hear Poole. He had moments because even Poole was at points in the playoffs suspect when it came to being able to guard anybody. And y'all heard the announcers say that. This isn't me saying it. This was the announcers as they watched the game. And y'all watched it as well. Now, with that having been said, the fact that Steph Curry got it is a beautiful thing. There's no ill will towards Steph Curry. He deserves it. He scored well, this, that, the third. But as I pointed out last night as well, Steph Curry had very great moments where he was able to sit on the bench and just relax. A lot of times where he had the towel on his head, he's cheering guys, hey, all right, great job, Mike. Big, all right, I see you. Come on, guys. That means that there were other players and other things that was allowing them to be able to keep that train running.
Okay,
that's all I'm gonna say about that.
In actuality,
let Dave jump in. Hold on, Mike.
Okay,
hold on, Mike. Let Dave jump in first. Dave, go ahead. Tell me what your thoughts. Can you make a case for Andrew Wiggins being MVP?
I mean, I can make a case out of a couple of banana peels and a Swisher Sweet if you want me to. But the truth of the matter is, who's going to buy it? Andrew Wiggins was a part of the team. That's cool. This to me is about as ridiculous as Adam Sandler sitting in a bubble bath saying, shampoo is better. I get the hair nice and clean. Oh no, conditioner is better. I get the hair silky smooth. Like, come on, right? Like when we talk Mount Rushmore, is he in the conversation or is Steph in the conversation? And by the way, I can remember plenty of times when LeBron James, when he was at Miami, when LeBron James was playing for the Cavs, where he sat on the bench with a towel on his head too. It didn't stop him from being LeBron. Like, come on, this dude is important. Yes, defense wins games, offense gets the glory. But one of the greatest 3-point shooters to ever pick up a basketball versus a guy who's a good defender when you're supposed to be a good defender.
Okay, so who did he defend, Dave? Who did he defend in the finals?
They were pick and rolling him and forcing him to defend everybody. They made Steph defend everybody. They tried to use him and tried to pick on him. Then he started stripping the ball. But let me just say this about the towel on the head. Yesterday's closeout game, he played 40 minutes. He played 40 minutes yesterday. Wiggins played 44. So he had 4 minutes more than him. Now let's remember this. Game 3 in Boston. Golden State comes back. They take the lead in the third quarter. Steve Kerr, for some reason, takes Steph Curry out the game. Guess what? Golden State never got the lead back. They lost the lead in third quarter, and they never got it back. And Steve Kerr decided, I am not taking Steph Curry out again in that third quarter for more than a minute or two. That's how crucial he was. So if we're going to give Wiggins credit for the great defense, then he has to be told what happened in that third quarter when I sat Steph down and you were on the court and they blew us out.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the same game. That's the same game where Andrew Wiggins had the most rebounds in any game of the series. You just use it as an example.
No. That was the game they won when he had 16 rebounds. I'm talking about when Boston went up 2-1.
You said the third game, right? Did just not right?
When Boston went up 2-1. So it was 1-1. So it was the third game when Boston went up 2-1 and they were up on a series. That game.
Can I put a bow on this?
Go ahead. If you got a bow to put, go ahead.
I love icing. Like, you know, when I have my cake, like the part that I really enjoy, you know, when it's layered, I love the icing.
Jello's
But
about
guess
to
what?
set.
There's a major difference between the cake and the icing. The icing is an additive. It's an enhancement. It's extra. What you really need is the cake. Steph Curry is the cake. Andrew Wiggins was a delicious part of the cake, but he was still just icing. Period.
Steph was the cake. He was the eggs in the cake. He was the oven that cooked the cake.
He was the oven in the cake. Okay.
Yeah,
That's
he was
what-
Curry is the cake.
And Dave, I'll say this. You said, you know, LeBron got a chance to sit down. Every time LeBron got a chance to sit down, his teams usually then fell behind. Steph Curry had time to actually relax while his team continued to keep the lead. The big difference.
Well, they lost the lead, but I will say this. Wiggins was an integral part, and I think if they lost Wiggins, that would affect them if they don't replace him correctly. I do think that would affect that team because I do think that what he did defensively is super important. I do not
know
want
who
people
Andrew
to think.
Wiggins is? Harrison Barnes. That's who Wiggins is. Wiggins is the Harrison Barnes from the first season.
But here's
That's
the
who
thing.
Wiggins is.
But he can't be the Harrison Barnes because they got rid of Harrison Barnes that following year.
They got rid of Harrison Barnes for Kevin Durant.
Okay, but they still got rid of
Kevin
him.
Durant.
They still got rid of him. They still got rid of him.
All right, so Dave, we do this round thing. What do the Celtics have to do on the roster side to make changes for them to get back?
Good question, Frank. I'm going to say this. I think at this particular point, it's time to watch some film. Like, can we stop always thinking that the thing to do is make a bunch of roster changes? Can we just look at some film study, and get better? Like, when I first started training, I was hot trash truck juice. I couldn't lift my leg. My defense was horrible. Like, I'm going for my third belt test next Saturday. Like, sometimes you got to watch the film and see, okay, that's why you got popped in the jaw. Oh, you see, you missed that easy. You missed that easy board. Oh, right there, you should have picked that. Like, at some point, it's not about blowing everything up. Philadelphia does that all the time, and it hasn't worked out well in 20 years. Every time somebody gets this close to winning, this current mentality is, let's just blow up everything. Let's make some changes. Let's start messing with the roster. Let's start getting some extra draft picks and trading for another first rounder. Rodney Perry. Calm down. Let's look at the tape. Let's see who's actually there. Do we need to start looking at what's happening with the strength and conditioning coaches? Do we need to start looking at who folks are using for nutrition? Like, there are other factors that go into it other than, we just need to start now. No, I think Boston was phenomenal, but Golden State was more phenomenal.
Mike, did the 7 games catch up to the Celtics after all the playoff games, or do they need to make a roster change or in a roster addition? The 7, like all of those NBA playoff series that they did, you think that caught up to them?
I don't think they need a roster change. Now, a pure point guard, perhaps. Frank, you've said that over and over again. The problem is pure point guards like Drew Holiday don't grow on trees. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, these kids aren't trying to be Chris Paul. They're trying to be Ja Morant. So they have to figure out, can they have somebody? Listen, I don't know what Rajon Rondo does to a locker room. I don't know what he does to a locker room, but for some reason, people get rid of him. And I just envision if Rajon Rondo was the point guard of that team in that fourth quarter, they would have got into their plays more efficiently. And they wouldn't have looked so hectic. And who's going to take over? Like, whose turn is it? So adding a point guard, but breaking this team up. Let's remember, your coach was a first-year coach. That's his first year as a head coach.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody had their first experience in the NBA. Jason Tatum is going to take this and come back better. He's going to add more tools to the toolbox. He'll probably start posting up. He'll probably start doing what Kobe, Jordan, and LeBron did. Start having a fadeaway jumper in the post where he has another weapon that he can use. These guys are still babies. They have time to add to their weapons. Don't start messing around and start bringing somebody in and start making a drastic change when you guys were in the NBA Finals. And if it wasn't for some personal mistakes, probably would have went to Game 7. So I think they got to look on right now. Everybody's depressed. Everybody's upset. Hopefully they're not pointing fingers, because you shouldn't point fingers at this point. We lost. Not Jason Tatum lost. We lost. We gave up opportunities. We could have won this series. Go back, retool, and maybe add a piece to the puzzle.
I am for one for the record of saying they definitely got to add a piece. They shouldn't have any roster changes. They need to add a pure point guard wherever they can find. Bradley Beal, a couple other guys out there are free agents. The Celtics got, they have this huge, big lump sum of money they could use thanks to the Gordon Hayward situation that played out, and they probably will use it, but we'll see. Fig, roster changes the Celtics should make, don't make, or do you agree with what everybody's saying?
I think. Listen, I'd like to give kudos to Brad Stevenson and Ime Udoka, because I think they realized very early on that the Celtics needed a point guard, and that's why they got Derek White, but he didn't turn out to be the point guard that they actually needed, and basically, I think that's basically the changes that you make. I don't think you get rid of anybody, because right now, if you have all of that money and you can just add to what you already have, then I think you add to what you already have. They got a nice core. The center was injured; he wasn't 100%. So he gets to come back. He was a major impact on games.
Oh, yes.
Williams, Derek White did excellent. I like that little white kid that they got on the team, Pritchard. This kid he's undersized, but if you get him on the court and he gets an open shot, it seems like this kid is like automatic. I don't think there's any major changes. And it's something like what Business Bully said. The Philadelphia 76ers, every time they lose, it's a major overhaul. You know, the team that doesn't make changes, whether they win or lose, they stay the course? The Golden State Warriors. They had 2 losing seasons where they didn't make the playoffs, but they stood the course and they kept working their system until they got back to the championship. When you make major changes, it's like starting from ground zero and having to start all over again. There's no reason for the Celtics to start over. None.
I just want to throw this out there real fast. Ime Udoka is a great coach and everything else. I just didn't like, I had a little issue with him not playing Aaron Naismith, because Aaron Naismith is a beast. Every time that kid comes in, he can really make some changes. And then, of course, they had this other kid, Sam Witherspoon. I forgot his last name. He got injured, too. This kid is a lights-out shooter, and he was an integral part from them playing really well from January also. So I guess, being that we have just a little bit more time left, I did want to ask a couple other questions about a couple of other different sports instead of having this whole thing be taken about the finals. So, Dave, I'm going to start with you with this next quick, real fast round robin, because I'm not sticking in order, man. Tyreek Hill made some statements and everything else about Patrick Mahomes. Tyreek Hill said a couple of things that Tua is more accurate and everything else. And right now, man, literally Patrick Mahomes said, I was very surprised that he said that about me. Your thoughts about hearing that?
Listen, man, can I put it to you like this? When you're a quarterback, somebody's always going to have something to say, right? And to me, Tyreek Hill is just sitting up there doing what most folks who can't do what he does do. You know what I mean? He's talking trash. Mm-hmm. And then my whole thing is, it's like, to me, especially the way Mahomes responded, he was just like, look, man, all right, I'm surprised to hear that. I thought it was all love. But that's the thing. It's not about what you do. It's about how people want to act when you're not around. To me, it stinks like something. It stinks like something that rhymes with pushy.
Yo, can I please jump in, Frank, real quick?
Yeah, I was
The
going to your
media,
next one. Go ahead.
the media is vicious with this. Okay. The media asked him and wanted him to say what's the difference between Pat Mahomes and Tua. Tua's his starting quarterback. What is he supposed to say? He has to compliment his starting quarterback. This is the dude that's gonna throw him the ball. Like, what's he gonna say? Patrick Mahomes is better? Like, we know he's better. Tyreek Hill knows he's better. But when the media says, well, how do you feel when Tua throws you the ball? Is it different than when Patrick Mahomes throws it to you? Yeah, because Patrick Mahomes can do a cartwheel and throw a 60-yard pass after he does a damn cartwheel. Like, what do you want? Like, the poor guy sitting there he's trying his best with a straight face to say Tua has a better touch to the ball. A better touch. In essence, what Tua was saying was, he ain't got a strong arm. Like, the ball really lands in my hand really soft because he has a very nice touch. Like, it's like, what are you gonna say? Like, if you're at somebody's house eating dinner and you're like, is this lasagna better than your mom's lasagna? And your woman is in front of you, you're gonna be, well, I think the seasoning you use is a little bit better than. What are you supposed to say?
Amir, he could have said he's just as good as. That's not fair. He could have said he's good as. You know what I mean? He could have said that.
He could have, but to Mike's point, and Mike is absolutely right. When you know that you're going into a new situation, you got to pick and choose your spots. And because this is a do or die situation for Tyreek Hill, because let's be clear, you left a situation where you knew you were going to get the ball, you knew you were the number one option, and all these different things. And something else that Mike, left out, but he didn't really leave out. The other thing that Patrick Mahomes does, he throws the ball from all kind of angles that nobody else in the league can throw the ball from because he's got that baseball background. So he throws underhanded and all kind of weird ways that no other quarterback in the league could do. So obviously he's going to say silly stuff. But Tyreek Hill, you had an amazing time up in Kansas City, sir. So I can only do one because I'm holding my phone with the other. We got to have the half a Perry hand right now.
Tyreek Hill might wind up being the Kevin Durant of football. When Kevin Durant left Golden State, Tyreek Hill might have but he got a lot of money, so I ain't mad at him.
Greg, how ridiculous did that statement even come after you when you heard it? Because honestly, it's a ridiculous statement all the way across the board.
The ridiculousness of it to me is the fact that he hasn't played one game with him. Mm-hmm. Not one game. And I would just say that. I was like, listen, if practice is any indication of what is going to happen during real games, I'm in an amazing position. But I really won't, you really can't judge a game type situation when all we've ever done is practice.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That makes 100% sense. I don't even know why they even asked the question because you can't compare a person who plays practice with NFL.
You know why? You know why?
Are we talking about practice?
No, I know.
Practice? We're talking about practice?
Dave, Jadeveon Clowney signed with the Cleveland Browns again. He came on record saying he signed again because they got Deshaun Watson. He wanted to play with Deshaun Watson again because they used to play together in Houston. Yeah. Make sense?
It makes perfect sense. First of all, I think everybody understands what Deshaun Watson brings to the table. And when you have a quarterback that can rub you the right way, everything looks like you could actually make a run of it. Sometimes it's about, just like we were talking about the last story, it's about the way you touch the ball. Okay? These things are absolutely critical. And honestly, I think the Cleveland Browns need to start going in here with an all-hands-on approach to both offense, right, and special teams. I think at this particular juncture, it is extremely important that we do a lot of outreach and make sure that the Cleveland Browns organization is touching the fans not only on social media, but in the front office and especially in the stands where it counts. This is a phenomenal move. I would go to Cleveland because Deshaun Watson, listen, somebody's got to give that kid, you know what I'm saying? Just a good look.
Dave knows how to push the boundaries on regular TV. Like that dude, he is a censor nightmare. Fig, should I put the censor on Dave before I get up? No, that's not your question.
You had to put the censor on me because you said Jadeveon Clowney said he's coming back to Cleveland because he wants to play with Deshaun Watson. I was like, pause.
No, that's not your question, Fig. That's not your question. Your question, Fig, is Lamar Jackson saying he's not sure how he's going to handle literally training camp without a new contract. People keep pressing him and pressing him and pressing him. Do you think he's going to even answer this, or he's going to just keep going? How do you think first of all, how do you think he's going to answer this? Because we all know he's facing his last year's contract, $23 million a year, and he's still in his final year of his contract. How do you think he's going to handle it?
You know, the thing is that I when you asked the question, what I thought you was actually saying is that maybe he was going to go, not as hard to prevent himself from getting injured. I mean, when we talk about the NFL, that is the biggest thing hanging over Deshaun Watson's head. I mean, the fact the kid is he flat out ball, and he's going to be able to do that without injury for a lot of years to come. I think he's probably one of the top 3 to 5 fastest NFL players in the NFL. Like, he is that fast. And if this kid doesn't get injured, I think he'll hold that title for the next 3 to 5 years. The only thing that we're concerned about is if this kid gets injured before he signs another contract, the NFL won't have any problem moving on. They've done it over and over and over again. If you get injured, you're no good to them, and they will not pay you just because they think you should have got paid. So he better get his money before this season starts, because if he gets injured, it's a wrap.
Mike McCarthy gets fined $100,000 for the Dallas Cowboys, and so does Ron Rivera. He gets fined $100,000. They both have 2 things in common that they did for their teams. They had them have more contact than they're supposed to, which they're not supposed to, obviously, because of the collective bargaining agreement. But these 2 coaches who are in a certain position have forced their teams to have more contact than they're supposed to in these OTAs. Is this good, bad, and different? What do you think they're setting? What kind of sign do you think they're setting for their team with this OTAs full contact?
This is gonna sound crazy. I think the fine should be higher. That was negotiated by the union, by the players and the owners. So you decided to go with the head of a contract of a deal that we made together, and you took it upon yourself to break the rules. Like, honestly, like I know old school and people like they need more contact and stuff like that, but that's not in the bargaining. That's not what we bargained. So I think that this should be a higher fine for Mike McCarthy and Ron Rivera. And I think they're doing it because they're both, they know they're on the hot seat. They know this could be both their last years, and the commander. And for Ron Rivera, you're playing with the Commanders and you're going to break a rule? Like, they ain't got enough problems. They don't have enough problems.
He ain't lying.
And now you want to act like if I'm the owner, I'm like, what are we doing here, dog? Like, I got one defensive coordinator saying what happened at the Capitol was a dust up, and now you decided you want to make them hit each other more? Like,
hold on, not only that, you got that, then you got you, and I'm sitting up here under investigation, and getting ready to go into Congress. I'm going to doing this because of employee situation with the sexual issues. I got all these issues here, and now you want to have me going up against the players union? I'd be upset.
Now you having sleepovers in the locker room with females. What are we doing? Like, we're in trouble.
What y'all doing? Mike, thanks for joining the show. God. Everybody out there, how they can follow you, bro?
At Mike Sean Comedy. Check me out tomorrow night, the Showboat, the old school Black Essence old school concert. I'll be hosting it. Horace Brown, CL Smooth, Positive K, Elias. Follow me. So come hang out. Go get them tickets at thebfestival.com.
Mike, please put a little recording together so I can see my man CL Smooth on stage. I want to see that. If you could record that little bit of clip, man, I'd be happy.
I got you.
Yeah. That'd make my Father's Day my whole week, because I love CL Smooth. Dave, thanks for joining the show, bro. Tell everybody out there how they can follow you.
You can follow me on all social media platforms at The Business Bully. And in Philadelphia tomorrow, HNIC Con, I'm taking the main stage. I'm also going to be selling my books. Make sure you guys come through. I'm going to teach you how to make money dressing up like superheroes.
Fig, tell everybody out there how they can follow you, bro.
Well, first off, my name is no longer Fig. I am Fig Adamus X. You can follow me, Fig Adamus. like Nostradamus. You can follow me on all social media platforms and Comedian Fig, baby. Listen, this has been a great week, and we appreciate everybody that tunes in, man. I love this show, man.
Amir, you up?
A-Rock Silly down there at the bottom on Instagram, Amir Silly on Facebook, Amir Silly on Twitter. I love you, gentlemen. Happy Father's Day to you all. And everybody have a great weekend, man. Let's get it done.
Amir, thank you for joining the show. And thank you for calling me last night, bro, to try to get me off that edge. Because, you know, at halftime, I was ready to kill somebody. I was ready to kill somebody.
Oh, damn. Yo, breaking news. Deshaun Watson has just been banned from all touch museums throughout the country. I can't believe it. It just...
Not even the Please Touch Museum in Philly?
Yeah, it just broke. I just want to put that in there for you guys.
No pun intended, huh? It just broke, huh? No pun intended. Yo,
you need a light touch.
Yo, ladies who are watching the show, thank you all for watching the show, being continuous supporters. Thank you, gentlemen who are watching the show. Thank you for being continuous supporters. Happy Father's Day to all you gentlemen up here. Happy Father's Day to the men who are watching this. And all y'all who are about to hear the lady say that I'm also celebrating Father's Day, y'all need to nip that in the butt too. Y'all nip that in the butt immediately. Like.
And Frank, let me shout out my oldest, Amani. She's graduating today high school. So let me shout her out.
Hey! Congratulations, Amani.
Congratulations. But Mike, that also means you better get a big gift on Father's Day too, bro. You know what I mean? Like you better big flower, but not gonna happen either.
Nah, you already.
Is anybody gonna get the big piece of chicken on Father's Day? I know I'm not. How about y'all?
Chicken.
I don't get nothing. All I get is that's what you're supposed to do, Dad.
Yeah, basically. You just get up and you're a basic Christian, like thank God for waking up another day.
Was waking up this morning. Yep, exactly.
How many of y'all are prepared to get the tie or the slippers for Father's Day?
Look, mine's gonna get
socks.
I'm gonna get a text message. My daughter's probably just gonna text me, "Hey, Dad, happy Father's Day."
Hey, listen, my daughter called me yesterday and asked me for $200. I think I'm gonna get something nice this year.
Look what you got with your money.
You're gonna put $50 aside for you and spend the other $150. So you know, yeah, I know. Well, all you Father's Day out there, happy Father's Day. Get ready for your ties, your socks, your towels, your not having a
tools.
Oh yeah, the tools. Especially for all y'all who don't even use tools. Y'all gonna stack them to the rest of the toolboxes, you know. Yeah, all that. But gentlemen, thank you all for doing that. Friday, y'all enjoy your weekend. My wife is telling me that Monday's a holiday. I don't know what holiday it's supposed to be.
Juneteenth.
I know
Juneteenth.
Sunday. I don't know if we all supposed to, but
we're observing it on Monday, Frank. Because Sunday's a Sunday. So you got to give black people a day off. It's a federal holiday. So y'all light-skinned people don't even respect the black holiday.
They don't respect us for us. So I'm like, if y'all
I got a tan, Dave. I respect it. I got a tan this year.
Okay, well,
I know, but you red.
Let me know. I'm not saying we're gonna be here on Monday. We might do a 3-day weekend, but we'll figure it out. We'll let y'all know. Okay. Of course, y'all. This is the show called Box Seats. Humor Mill is where you can find the show on every day 1 to 2. Repeats on Humor Mill channel from 3 to 4. Thank y'all for watching. Thanks to all the gentlemen. Y'all have a good weekend. Be safe, Mike. Be safe, Dave. Fig, Amir. Y'all be safe. Thank y'all.
Peace.